What are React Server Components, RSC? Imagine building an interactive UI without sending JavaScript for every component to the browser. That's the promise of React Server Components, a groundbreaking shift in how we render, stream, and deliver experiences at scale. In this video, we'll break down React Server Components through 10 real interview-style questions, so you not only understand them, you master them. What are React Server Components, and why were they introduced? React Server Components, or RSCs, are components that render on the server and send only the final HTML to the client. They were introduced to reduce JavaScript bundle size, improve performance, and allow streaming without blocking hydration. Unlike SSR, RSCs don't hydrate, they stay purely server-rendered and can fetch data directly, without client-side fetch logic. How are React Server Components different from SSR and client components? React Server Components, server-side rendering, and client components serve different purposes, and understanding their boundaries is key to system design and performance optimization. Client components run entirely in the browser. They include interactivity, event handlers, and use client-only hooks like useState and useEffect. They're fully hydrated, meaning the JavaScript bundle must be downloaded and parsed before the component works. SSR components render HTML on the server, then hydrate on the client to become interactive. You get fast initial paint, but still pay the price of sending JavaScript for every interactive piece. React Server Components are different. They never hydrate, they render on the server, fetch data directly from backend sources, and stream HTML to the browser. No client-side bundle is needed, unless a client component is explicitly nested inside. RSC reduces bundle size, improves time to interactive, and lets you compose from both worlds. Think of RSC as a new layer, not a replacement, in the rendering model. What are the key benefits of using React Server Components? React Server Components aren't just another optimization, they redefine how we architect modern web apps. Benefit 1: Zero client-side JavaScript. Since RSCs are never hydrated, they don't contribute to the JavaScript bundle size. This makes your app lighter, faster, and more memory efficient on the client. Benefit 2: Direct server-side data access. You can fetch data directly from your database, API, or CMS inside a server component, no extra API calls or fetch logic on the client. Benefit 3: Streaming. React Server Components can stream chunks of HTML as they become available. Benefit 4: Modular and composable. You can mix server and client components intelligently. Together, these benefits make your app not just faster, but architecturally cleaner and easier to scale. How do you mix server and client components together? One of the most powerful features of React Server Components is composition, the ability to blend server and client logic in the same tree. By default, components in an RSC tree are treated as server-only. They can fetch data, perform secure logic, and render to static HTML, all without being shipped to the browser. But interactivity, like buttons, modals, or animations, requires client components. You mark these with a useClient directive at the top of the file. When React encounters a client component inside a server component, it splits the tree, sending only the client-side part as a separate JavaScript bundle. This architecture allows for surgical precision. Use server components for layout, SEO, and performance, and drop in client components only where user interaction is required. What are the limitations or trade-offs of React Server Components? React Server Components are powerful, but they come with trade-offs you need to understand before using them in production. Limitation 1: No client-side interactivity. You can't use useState, useEffect, or handle events directly. That logic must live in client components. Limitation 2, streaming only works with compatible frameworks like Next.js App Router. Limitation 3, debugging is more complex due to the split rendering model. Limitation 4, RSCs can't import client components, only the other way around. Limitation 5, ecosystem maturity. Some third-party libraries still assume client-side rendering. React server components give you control and performance, but they demand discipline and architectural awareness. How do you fetch data in React server components compared to client components? In client components, you fetch data using useEffect, then update state. But in React server components, you can fetch data inline, using a sink and await directly inside the component. There's no need for spinners or boilerplate. Server components can await data before rendering, just like a server root. You can even use direct database queries. And your secrets stay on the server. It's faster, more secure, and simplifies the entire data fetching model. How does caching work with React server components? One of the hidden superpowers of React server components is caching, and it works differently from traditional models. In frameworks like Next.js, caching is built into data fetching. You can cache fetch responses, database queries, or even entire components based on request, user session, or global rules. And since server components never hydrate, there's no client-side invalidation. Instead, you revalidate paths or tags when needed. The result, fewer network calls and blazing fast performance, right from the server or edge. How does React server component streaming improve performance? React server components don't just render on the server, they stream. Streaming sends chunks of HTML to the browser as soon as they're ready, without waiting for the full page. Imagine a product page. The header loads immediately while reviews stream in. The user starts interacting sooner, and it feels faster even on slow networks. React uses web streams to flush completed segments. This means faster time to first byte, smoother time to interactive, and better UX overall. How do React server components work with the app router in Next.js? React server components are built into the Next.js App Router. Every file in the /app directory is a server component by default. Layouts, pages, and nested routes are streamed, while interactive parts are marked as client components. You can share layout components across routes, fetch data at the layout level, and minimize re-renders. You also get new hooks designed for this model, like useServer inserted HTML and useFormState. The app router is designed for scale, using RSCs to maximize performance and minimize client.js. What is the future of React server components? React server components represent a fundamental shift in front-end architecture, and this is just the beginning. The future includes edge rendering, smarter caching, and better developer tools. Frameworks like Next.js and Remix are pushing RSC to the next level, blending it with static rendering, personalization, and server actions. Expect better form handling, dual-mode libraries, and RSC-first design systems. This isn't just a feature, it's the new baseline for web development. React server components are not just a feature, they're a foundational shift in how we build for the web. Less JavaScript, more speed, smarter architecture. You can start using them today with frameworks like Next.js and the app router. So if you're ready to level up your skills, hit that subscribe button, drop your questions in the comments, and keep exploring what modern React can really do. This is just the beginning. See you in the next deep dive.